Hi, I'm James Hand, host of the Handmade Radio Show on CFTA 107.9. Tonight we feature This Is When's Norman Albert Code interview with Bruce Wheaton. Bruce is an Amherst born and raised singer-songwriter, guitarist, bandleader, and a soloist in the entertainment industry. Take it away, Norman.
This is Norman Albert Code here on This Is When, and our special guest today is Bruce Wheaton. Bruce Wheaton is originally from Amherst, and I'd like to first ask Bruce how he began his career in music.
Well, I guess if you go back to the very beginning, our family was really musical. The Wheatons, there's a lot of Wheatons that are musical. Dad played, sang, Mom sang, my sister sang, and we belonged to the Baptist Church here in Amherst, and I sang in every choir for Mrs. Logie. Miss Logie, yeah, never Mrs. Logie, Miss Logie, and the school and all that. And then when we hit to be teenagers, of course, Elvis Presley came out, and I wanted to be Elvis. Who wouldn't? And my best friend would play guitar, man. That's a magical thing. Wow, you play guitar, you know? Larry Rangers was his name. And we put together a little band in 1962 called the Continentals. And that's where it all started, right there. Bobby Ackles was in that band. Pinky Dovine from Sackville was in that band. Donnie Morris, did I mention him? Donnie Morris, he's from Amherst. And Louise Orman. And me, I was the front man. I didn't play guitar in that particular band. I played a couple songs because Larry Rangers was actually showing me, because I didn't even have a guitar. He loaned me his and showed me a few things, and it wasn't long until I was playing guitar too.
So what was your next step after you left Amherst?
Joining the Air Force. Like, we had the band going. It was kind of sad. You know, I was 17 in 1963. And, you know, when I look back, it's too young to leave home, I think. You shouldn't wait till you're 20 or 21 anyway. You know, but I joined the Air Force and left the band. And when I did, I can remember the first thing that happened. I was in basic training in Saint Jean, Quebec. And I went there in November. And came home for Christmas. You know, that was only like 6 weeks later. And I came here. I think the store was Lounsbury's on Church Street. It was a furniture store, really. And one corner of the store, they sold a few instruments. And they had an electric guitar and an amplifier. It was a Gretsch amplifier and a harmony guitar. And I got my first paycheck. And I went in and, you know how you do, you would sign for everything. In those days, you put it on a layaway or whatever you call it. So that's how I got my first guitar. And then I grabbed it, and the boys were playing. They kept on, you know, the Continentals, and I would bring my guitar when I came home a couple times and sit in with them on the guitar.
So then you eventually left the Air Force. What year was that?
That was 1966, I think.
You were in the Air Force for 3 years?
2.5 years. Yeah, basically almost 3 years, yeah. But in the Air Force, though, when I came home that first time, when I went back home and bought that guitar and amp, then I met guys on the base in Camp Borden. I was in my trade training place for a few months. You know, musicians have a way. You're playing your guitar in your room, and they go, "Hey, man, I play drums. I do this." And we had a band called the Vibrasonics, and we were playing at the dances and at the high school there in Angus, and which was right near Camp Borden. And then I got stationed to 1SD Downsview in Toronto, Keele and up in the Keele area, Shepherd. Up that, you're from there, aren't you?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, there's a big 1SD Air Force base. I got into another band up right there, and that was called Chester and the Unknowns. And we actually got a spot on Go-Go 66, Robbie Lane's TV show, and that ran its course until let's see when that would be. Mid-66, and then I got out of the Air Force, And then we started another band called the Purple Hearts. And then from the Purple Hearts, I got the offer to join the Stitch in Time, and that's how I got into Stitch in Time. Was my first I'm making a living at only music band. I call it my first professional band. Not that the other bands weren't, because they all were, but I didn't have a job anymore. That was my job.
And what song do you recall from Stitch in Time that were your favorites?
Oh man, we did so many. So my first song that I sang, first night, that's a big deal. When I keep it's etched in my memory. The first night, wow, I'm a musician. I'm getting paid. I'm making a living. This is it. I decided to do it. It was Sherry by the Four Seasons. Because I got a falsetto, high falsetto, and me and Donnie Morris, he had a falsetto too, and we did some amazing stuff. We did a lot of Four Seasons, Hollies, few Beatles songs, Beach Boys. Then we started leaning to get into R&B, and that band to me was like kind of like a learning how to play all these different kinds of music. We weren't really an original band. Although at the end of the band we started to write a few songs to release, but that's a whole story too.
How long were you with Stitch in Time?
2 years.
2 years, and then what band was next?
Then Everyday People. Actually, there was a band in between there. There's a band called Rockin' Horse, Rockin' Chair, and that was just a short thing. I had to do something, for a while until I figured out what the next step was, because I never did this before. All of a sudden, what do you do now when your band breaks up? It's not like you go down to the unemployment place and apply for a job, kind of thing. So, and there's a guy in that band called Scott Cushney, who played in a band called Tundra, and they had a few songs on the radio. So that was a really good band too. So, but then I got a call from Donnie Morris again, who was in the Stitch in Time and the Continental. See that I don't know if you want to state what that is. The Continentals was. Or the Stitch in Time was half of Continentals and half of Untouchables.
Oh, okay.
So that's how that all happened.
So, Everyday People, did you travel outside of Canada?
There's one band I want to mention too, because this call that I got from Donnie Morris, I was actually even offered to join Lighthouse. And Grant and Pinky from the Stitch in Time went with them, and then Skip Prokop asked me too, but then I had already got the call from Donnie about a band called Soma. That was a big band that we're putting together in Truro. We all decided, I'll do the Soma thing, and I moved to Truro, and we put Soma together, and I stuck around for a while, but it wasn't really my style of thing, and I wasn't playing guitar because they already had a couple guitar players, and I was playing congos and singing background music, background harmonies. So I said, no, I want to do my own songs, and I want to play guitar and sing. So I stayed until we get started. We did a few gigs, and then I went back to Toronto, and eventually Everyday People was the next band. And I've been writing songs all along. And I met these guys, and I actually answered an ad in the paper, and there was these people who were eventually the initial players of Everyday People, some of them, and they did. I said, "What are you guys doing?" He said, "Oh, I don't know. We're just starting a band." I said, "Well, I know what I want to do. If you want to," and I told them what I wanted to do. I said, "I want to get a girl singer, and I want to keep this harmony thing, because all the bands we had a big harmony in them. If you ever heard any of my music, it's harmony is not too far away." So we're not doing anything. We have no idea. We just want to put a band together. So I said, I have an idea, and so I took over the band and I handpicked a few people, and we started doing all my original songs. The first gig we ever played in Ontario, I walked on stage and I was thinking, holy mackerel, we're not playing any hit parade songs or anything. We were just doing all original. That's a scary thing, because people are so used to, they want to hear the radio, basically the radio dictates, especially in those days. But that was the beginning, that was 1970, 69 and 70. That's when a lot of bands began, songwriting and playing and recording and releasing music. In Canada especially, because we weren't getting a whole lot of airplay on even in Canadian radio, which I could never figure that out, but it was happening. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
Yeah, I'm not really originally from the music business, but I see what probably happened is that because your material was original, the radio stations just wanted to play the top 50 or whatever.
But that's what the top 50 is. It's original music by these other people, but they're all Americans.
That's right,
or British. And Canada had a hard time getting noticed in its own country. I don't think it's the best yet, actually.
No.
And back then, when we signed with GRT Records, it was so bad. Because, now people were putting some big money behind the band. To record was expensive. And promote, and all this stuff. So there was record companies starting up, like GRT, and there's Canadian London Records and all these, putting records out, not getting any airplay and no return. So they introduced this MAPL system. Are you familiar with that?
No.
But anyway, they set some rules. This is what this company does. It's government, I think, and they said you have to pay 30% Canadian content.
Is it a CRTC?
CRTC, you got it. And on your record, there's a circle on it. It says MAPL, and M stands for material, A stands for artist, P stands for production, L stands for lyrics, and I can't remember if you needed 2 or 3 of those to be considered Canadian content. Isn't that crazy? It was unbelievable. We were one of the first bands, everyday people, to release a record under the MAPL system. But it did help, because now they had to play 30% Canadian, and probably still do, 30% Canadian content. But how ridiculous is that to me, that you have to do that in your own country?
That you have to mandate it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Could you tell us a little bit about the next band, the
Molly Oliver?
Molly Oliver, yes.
Well, Molly Oliver, Everyday People was together for 4 years, and we had a lot of success. We had songs that we were signed by GRT Records Canada and Paramount Records in the USA, which was really hard to get signed to an American company, But Terry Brown, our producer, and Doug Riley, we signed to them as their production company, and they shopped the songs around, and they got us the contracts. So we had one song called "I Like What I Like" that became an underground hit all in North America or in Europe, in the dance halls, and it still is getting all kinds of play on YouTube, and it's crazy. It's just one of those, almost like a cult song,
I Like What I Like.
I Like What I Like, yeah. And it's still getting play. It was so popular that a New York City DJ started playing on FM radio, and because we were not getting promoted down there either, and the Paramount Records wanted a single version of the song, so we had to go back in and shorten the song, and they put out a single. So there's the long version and the short version, and naturally they didn't like the short version. because it was the long one that they liked, right?
Yes.
In those days, 2 minutes and 40 seconds was basically what they wanted. You go any further than that, and I don't know, too long, you know. But anyway, at the end, you're asking me how did Molly Oliver start? So we were on our last tour down east, and not knowing what we're going to do next, me or anybody, any other band, we're all going our separate ways. And we're driving through Wentworth Valley. And we had played that night before somewhere in New Brunswick, and we're heading to Halifax. So we used to drive at night and get there in the morning and check into the motel and sleep for a while and go set up the gear for the next gig. Crazy, busy band. And so me, Carson Richards, the bass player, and Everyday People, by the way, we were together for 11 years, me and him. And he was driving, I was sitting alongside of him, and it was just a beautiful morning in Wentworth Valley. And I said, wow, I left Nova Scotia when I was only 17. I never really got to live as an adult in this beautiful place, you know. We did a lot of touring down here, but you're not here that long. You're here a couple months and gone again, you know. So I said, what do you think about moving down here? And he said, let me think about it. And then it didn't take long. He said, yeah, let's do it, you know. So we finished that tour. Went back to Ontario, and with the bus, we had a converted school bus. Put all the furniture in, mine and his, you can imagine, we had seats and everything, and the gear was all we left that here, and then we put all the living room furniture and all this. It was just jammed to the hilt, and we moved back here. And then I ran into Bob Quinn, who was Bob Quinn and Timmy Garrigan from Pepper Tree, a band called Pepper Tree. And initially it was this, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, we're just thinking about getting another band together. And so we put this band together, Molly Oliver. But that band there, Bob Quinn, Timmy Garrigan, Carson Richards, and Bruce Wheaton, was mainly just playing hit parade songs just to make some money. So that lasted a year, and Bob Quinn went off to university, and Timmy Garrigan went to be an agent. And I said to Carson, I said, do you want to keep it going? I said, let's get some members and keep Molly Oliver going. And at that point there, I said, I want to get back into original music again and try to get another record deal. And we did. You know, and we were based out of Halifax. You know, it wasn't an easy feat to do that, like to be from here and try to get a national recording deal, but
and to start, so challenging to start from scratch every time.
Yeah.
To say, okay, we're gonna start a new group. Who do we need? What do we need? And that whole creative impulse to make your own. Elvis, okay, that's Elvis music, but what about me? I want to play my music.
That's right.
You know?
So we were doing a combination. You know, you had to. We do quite a lot of originals, but we're still doing other songs too. You know, like hit parade songs. I call it hit parade, not necessarily, but it was songs that reflected what the style that we were trying to put across, which was a harmony band, a rock band mixed with a little bit of funk. And the band was really, really popular. And I had that together for 13 years.
I guess if there was a question I wanted to ask you to wrap up our interview, it would, what if you look back over all those years, what would be one of the fondest memories? What do you go back to when you want to feel that time again?
Oh man, there's so many. I'm probably going to forget all of them. You know, like well, we went to in Stitch in Time. Our manager at the time flew us to New York City, and we recorded in a famous studio down there, and that song was called New Dawn. That was kind of cool, and but I guess, you know, getting everyday people together and doing, you know, like I say, the first in the very beginning of Everyday People, all original music. That's probably a major step to take, to go on stage and do that. And I remember being just shaken, and I was the only writer. So with all my songs, I was like, are we going to bomb or what, you know? But boy, by the end of the night, everybody was dancing and having a good time, and that's how it went. You know, we eventually learned a few cop songs, I call them cop songs, copy songs, just again to show, well, here's, we did some Three Dog Night and the band, and I forget what else, but not too many. Everyday People was heavy duty into, you know, my music. And then, like you say, because that was the purpose, to record, tour, see what can happen, you know.
We're going to end our interview with your song, Love Looks Good on Us. Can you say a few words about that song and what brought you to write it?
Sure. There's a couple things to it in the last question you asked. Mama Cass recorded one of my songs. You know who Mama Cass?
Oh, yes.
Okay. The song I Like What I Like, I told you about?
Yes.
She recorded that song.
Oh, wow.
And there's many bands that have recorded that song.
Mm-hmm.
Three Dog Night were considering it. Tom Jones was considering it. A band called LTG Exchange from the United States. Funky black band, great band. And a band called the Creeps from England.
I've heard of them, yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, they recorded that song.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that other thing that was really, I thought was kind of cool was doing the Keep On Giving thing for Ethiopia of all the great rock singers from the Maritimes. That was in 1987. So that's like, again, every one of those things that I didn't mention is an amazing feeling when you sign. You're a little kid from Amherst, you know, and you sign a record deal. Wow, you know, a record deal. And I did it 3 times, you know, with Arc Records, Yorkville Records in Toronto, and then Everyday People signed with GRT in Canada, Paramount in the United States, and then Molly Oliver signed with London Records Canada. So it's all those things are they're all, at the time they were the big deal. Wow. they were all a wow, you know, like, because I flew up to Toronto. We were gigging down here, Molly Oliver, and there was a thing, industry thing up there called 3 Days in March. It was at a big hotel there, and all the record companies were set up in rooms on one floor. So they were looking for new artists, and I took my tapes, and I went in. You'd sit down like a room such as we are now, but it was really a hotel room. But they were set up with a tape player. Okay, what you got, you know? And we'd sit there, and I played them what we had already got started to record, and nothing sort of happened. Then I ran into Ron Scribner, who was a booking agent for our band quite often in Toronto and Halifax. He said, "How you making out, Bruce?" I said, "Oh, you know, the process." He said, "What if would you interested if I shopped your tape around?" I said, "Why not?" You know. So I left it with him, and I flew back to Halifax. I was there 2 days. Got a phone call from him. He says, "I got a deal for you." So he says, London Records is going to fly you back to Montreal because that's where they're based, and I'll meet you there. And so I met Ron and the record company and signed. So I could go on and on. I was thinking of running off here, but
it's been exciting to speak to you today. You know, when you look at someone getting their start here in Amherst, in Amherst High School, going back to the Baptist Church and Miss Logie's choirs, and then picking up a guitar and making it your living, making it your life, and going on through all those bands and all those exciting times. And it's been a great pleasure having you here today and listening to the stories. And now we're going to hear one of Bruce's tunes, one of the latest songs written in 2020, Love Looks Good on Us.
is telling me you are the one. There'll never be another who will love you more than I do. One life, one love, one heart to share and be just as one. It's feeling so right having you beside me. There's just no one else who can fill my heart. I wanna spend forever with you in my waking arms. The way that you love me and the way that I love you, with every year that passes by, I love you more every day. Yes, I will be. And through the years, we will remember the words we said today. I could feel from the start you were melting my heart, showing me the way to you. The way that you need me and the way that I need you, with every day that passes by. Love sure looks good on us. Yes, it does, baby.
Wasn't that great? That was Bruce's newest single, Love Looks Good on Us, and of course, that interview done by Norman Albert Code. Norman's a total pro. For the rest of the Handmade Radio Show, we're going to play a few more songs from Bruce's illustrious career. We're going to play a track from Molly Oliver, but right now we're going to play Everyday People and a song called Feel Like Being Happy.
Today I feel like being happy, not thinking about the things that bring me down. Put them all aside, if only for a while. Go with my favorite guy out for a ride. Today there's no one but me and my lover. Don't think I'm the kind of girl without no problem. I got quite a few, but today I'm free. Out in the country where the scenery's pretty,
that makes me forget all the bad times that I ever had. Her long hair and beautiful eyes gives me the feeling it's time to start over again. She may not be the one for me, but I guess only time will tell. 'Cause each time I see her, I get that fever, and I wonder if she does as well. And the one thing I'm thinking about, could things ever work out? There's somebody new in my eyes that makes me remember the good times are still all around. And each time I see her go by, gives me the feeling that I like to give it a try. Wanna give it one more try. I'd like to see if there could be a new love without misery. 'Cause when you're together, there's stormy weather, and sometimes you're too blind to see that it's just a stormy day, and it will go away. And I'd like to see if there could be a new love without misery. 'Cause when you're together, there's stormy weather, and sometimes you're too blind to see that it's just a stormy day, and it will go away. Somebody new in my eyes that makes me believe her and not want to leave her behind. Wanna keep it by my side. Somebody new in my eyes. 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 Somebody.
Molly Oliver, Somebody New in My Eyes on the Handmade Radio Show, Everyday People, and before that, thank you so much for joining me on another edition of the Handmade Radio Show. Love playing local and East Coast music for you. Want to give a shout out to our sponsor, EK Music Store, at Dale's Grand Market in historic downtown Amherst. And until next time, good night.